DSEA sits down with Mitch Crane, candidate for Insurance Commissioner. Election to be held September 11th, 2012.
Hi, I'm Frederica Jenner, President of the Delaware State Education Association, and I'm here today with a Democratic candidate for Insurance Commissioner, Mitch Crane. Mitch was endorsed through the regular DSEA process a few weeks ago. An interview committee met at the Dover office and interviewed all of the available candidates. And Mitch impressed the group, and that recommendation was taken to the executive board. And so Mitch Crane has won our endorsement for the primary, which will be on Tuesday, September 11th. And I've invited Mitch to join us today, and I have a few questions that I think will give you some information about him as a candidate and also give you some important ideas about the reason people should take an interest in who is the Insurance Commissioner of Delaware. So Mitch, I'd like to welcome you today.
Thank you, Frederica.
Glad that you could fit us into your schedule because I know you've been very busy campaigning, and I have some questions that I think would be interesting to our members.
Well, I appreciate this opportunity, and I'm very grateful to the DSEA for giving me their confidence.
Good. Terrific. If you could start by telling us, what does an insurance commissioner do, and why should DSEA members and other consumers pay serious attention to this race?
The Delaware Insurance Commissioner has the authority to license every insurance company and every adjuster and appraiser and agent who does business in Delaware. The Insurance Commissioner approves or disapproves rate increases. The Insurance Commissioner is responsible for taking to a hearing companies who are accused of violating Delaware law. The Commissioner also is a member of the Statewide Benefits Committee and of the Deferred Compensation Panel.
So that sounds like a number of very important roles.
Very important roles. Also, every state, since there are 50 states, excuse me, and every state has its own licensing process, you could not have every state doing examinations of every company doing business. So the domiciled state is the one that does the examinations of the companies. Delaware has a lot of domiciled insurance companies, so it's our responsibility to make sure that we are looking out for the policyholders to make sure the companies are operating as law requires.
Okay, thank you. If you could explain for me, I think I know what domicile means. What does that mean?
A domiciled insurance company is a company that calls Delaware its home, and because of Delaware's corporate-friendly status, more companies are domiciled in Delaware than one would expect.
Okay, thank you. Mitch, if you could tell us, why are you particularly qualified for this office in terms of your training and your previous work experience?
I've been a practicing attorney since I graduated from Widener University Law School in 1977. I've also been elected a judge in Pennsylvania. I served 6 years as a judge in Westchester. And I was hired by then Insurance Commissioner Matt Denn to be his regulatory specialist. That was the House Counsel. I worked under Matt Denn and took care of hearings against insurance companies that were violated the law. I worked regulations, I worked legislation. And under the current commissioner, I also served as Director of Consumer Services and did the lobbying for the department. I know the ins and outs of the department's operations. Also, having worked for Matt Denn, I also know that the purpose of the department is to serve the interests of insurance consumers. I think I have unique qualifications in all areas.
You're challenging the incumbent member of your own political party for this position. Why?
It certainly is not easy to challenge an incumbent of your own party, especially one who is female. It's a very serious thing to do. I would not have done so if I did not believe that the current administration is not a pro-consumer administration. I believe that the main responsibility of an insurance commissioner is to look out for policyholders, for the consumers. The insurance companies have their own lobbyists who push their interests. The insurance commissioner needs to be the lobbyist for the consumer. We don't have that now. I think there needs to be a change. And I think there needs to be a commissioner who not only is an alternative to the current commissioner, but somebody who has the qualifications and experience necessary to fight for the consumers. I think that's me.
Okay. What are the most serious issues facing the insurance commissioner here in Delaware over the next 4 years?
Well, we have not had any active attempts to recruit new companies into Delaware other than captive insurance companies which do not serve consumer interests. Because of the lack of competition, rates go up. rates go up because there's no one to compete with that would be lowering them, and rates also go up because the current commissioner approved every rate increase requested of her in the first 3 years. Those are serious issues together. When we pushed through in 2009 a law to give the insurance commissioner the authority to approve or disapprove health insurance rate increases, the expectation was not that every increase would be approved. Those are serious issues. We also have discrimination in Delaware. One would not think that were the case, but there is discrimination in at least 2 areas of insurance, maybe 3 if you stretch the definition. Number 1, women of childbearing years who purchase individual policies or small employer policies in health insurance pay more than men of the same age. That should be outlawed. The Affordable Care Act will outlaw that, but we don't need to wait 2 years for that to happen. Seniors who drive find that in most cases their auto premiums go up as they reach 70, 75, and 80. That should not be permitted. Premiums should be a measure of your experience as a driver and your claims history. And third, which I believe is discrimination, is that companies are still allowed, when issuing new policies, to use credit scores. And credit scoring is a way of setting higher premiums or refusing coverage to people who don't have a lot of credit, use their the credit cards to pay their bills. This should be disallowed. And all those areas were addressed in the current administration, and nothing was done about it. And I think those are 3 of my priorities.
Mitch, I think I heard you say that the incumbent is a proponent of captive insurance companies. Is that a good thing or a bad thing, and why?
It's a good thing if that is not your sole concern or a major concern. Captive insurance companies were created because some corporations that were in dangerous enterprises, let's say a nitroglycerin plant, had a hard time getting insurance. Captive insurance was created so that companies could self-insure property or liability coverage. But it's grown as an industry. And the benefit to the companies is that millions of dollars can be taken off of their books, put into a captive corporation, which can grow its profits and not pay taxes on them. It also allows them to pay a lower premium tax to the state. What has happened in the current administration is that the major focus has been on growing the captive industry. It doesn't serve consumers. And the people who run the Captive Bureau in Delaware are contract employees. Mm-hmm. The head of that department is receiving payments of $17,000 a month, working out of a law firm in Chicago. The department has employees who are being paid by Kelly Services who are making $17,000 a year and no benefits. So captive insurance is okay, it serves a purpose, okay, but it needs to find its rightful place in the department.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's very helpful. If you could please discuss the recent acquisition of Blue Cross Blue Shield of Delaware by the Highmark Corporation, another nonprofit healthcare conglomerate out of Pittsburgh. If you could tell us a little bit about that, please.
I call it an acquisition or a merger. The current insurance commissioner calls it an affiliation, and she's actually correct. It's an affiliation because rather than it taking the assets and handling all the liabilities, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Delaware, now relabeled Highmark, pays for the services of Highmark, tens of millions of dollars for using the computer system. I opposed this affiliation, as did the Attorney General Beau Biden. We did so because we believe that eventually it'll lose 800 jobs to Delaware. Mm-hmm. It will have a company go from perhaps 55% of the market to maybe as much as 75%, which will again reduce competition. Premiums will then go up. And the reserves, which grew from $17 million to almost $100 million mm-hmm. in 4 years, eventually will be lost to this Pennsylvania company, which will use them for their own purposes. Now, the order says they can't do that, but it's a shell game. You move this around. I recently had conversations with 2 former officials of the West Virginia company, mm-hmm. which was then Blue Mountain Blue Cross. And what I fear will happen in Delaware happened in West Virginia after the same affiliation occurred in 1999. Okay. Competition went down, it became a monopoly, rates went up, and money was drained from the reserves to pay for the use of the services.
Yeah, and the loss of your prediction of up to 800 jobs is nothing to ignore.
Well, the current order says they cannot lose these jobs. They cannot lay these people off for at least 4 years. But as you know, after a certain age, 4 years passes very quickly.
Yes.
And it's already been almost a year.
The Insurance Commissioner is a voting member of the State Employee Benefits Committee. For our viewers, this is the group established under Delaware state law that makes all decisions pertaining to the insurances, health, prescription drugs, dental, life, long-term disability that are offered to public school and state employees. What are your thoughts about key issues that face this committee?
The one issue that I'm most aware of because of my work as Director of Consumer Services is that state employees who have problems having benefits paid, their claims paid, don't understand it's self-insurance. They think that they have Blue Cross or Aetna, not the Delaware self-insured plan, and those companies are the third-party administrators. They call the Department of Insurance, which has no jurisdiction. If you have a claim, you have to go back to the State Benefits Committee and have it taken care of. They don't have the resources to do it. They don't have the experience in how to deal with the insurance companies. I believe that all the state employees who have health insurance covered by the state should have their claims and their complaints handled by the Department of Insurance. I'd like to see legislation to do that. Secondly, the insurance commissioner should be looking out for the insurance consumer. The governor has responsibilities to all people of Delaware. So that when the statewide benefits committee takes up an issue such as they did 2 years ago on covering the children of state employees to age 26 in health insurance, the commissioner as a voting member should have supported that, and this commissioner did not. I would look out for the consumers, and the state employees are consumers.
Certainly.
I'd also like to see state employees have representation on that committee, voting representation.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
What specific ideas would you like to accomplish in terms of changes in Delaware laws, and why are these important?
Well, I've already mentioned a few of the ones that concern me the most. The laws, I've already written the bills. It's a matter of getting them introduced, and I've talked to legislators about it. I would like to end the use of credit scoring in the issuance of new policies, discrimination against women in health insurance, age discrimination in motor vehicle insurance, requiring homeowners insurance companies to have proof that they sent you notification that they're not renewing or they're canceling your policy. Current law allows that to be done by a first-class letter, and they don't even require evidence that they sent the letter. That needs to be changed also. Going out and recruiting more companies to come into the state to compete. There are people who live in manufactured homes that saw a 35% rate increase last year, because only one company writes older manufactured homes.
Only one company in the entire state of Delaware?
Only one company. A second company just came in, and another company had written but will not issue new policies. So without competition and with a pro-industry commissioner, you have rate increases that are out of control. 35% to people on a fixed income is impossible. Those are the main things I would want to do. I also would want to replace the head of the captive bureau with a state employee being paid a reasonable rate, and fully staff all the vacant positions in the Department of Insurance. Take those people who have been working for years through Kelly Services and give them a chance to have a full-time state job with benefits.
Besides your endorsement from the Delaware State Education Association, is there any other individual or group that's come to your support?
I've been supported and endorsed and received contributions from over 400 individuals. Terrific. None from insurance companies. They will not take their contributions. The Delaware State Democratic Party has endorsed me. It is, I am told, unheard of for them to endorse against an incumbent in a statewide office. I've been endorsed by the Newcastle County Democratic Committee and the Kent County Democratic Committee, which also has not endorsed in at least 20 years. Last week I received the endorsement of the House Majority Leader and perhaps the next Speaker, Pete Schwarzkopf, and some of, I think, the most progressive members of our legislature, with Senator Karen Peterson and Dave Sokola, Representative John Kowalko, Mike Barbieri, Ed Osinski, and Earl Jakes. And person who's been taking me around to all the senior centers, the Newcastle County Sheriff Trinidad Navarro, and there are many, many more, which you can see on my website, mitchcranefordelaware.com.
Are there interesting or noteworthy parts of your personal background or your family history that are important that you think that DSEA members should keep in mind?
Well, yes. I think that when it comes to choosing candidates for office, you need to go beyond what they say they're going to do and look at what they've done, especially in their life before they even thought about running for office. My mother was a close personal friend of Edith Scott Bagley, Coretta Scott King's sister. And I organized the 1963 March on Washington from Westchester. My grandmother and I got arrested in a demonstration when I was 16, fighting against discrimination and civil rights. I'm a former school teacher. I taught English and political science in secondary school, and I taught law for a while. I went to law school at night, the Widener University School of Law, and I was shop steward in my AFSCME local for those 4 years.
Just want to remind you that Mitch is running in the Democratic primary on Tuesday, September 11th, and he and I would very much appreciate your consideration and vote.
DSEA sits down with Mitch Crane, candidate for Insurance Commissioner. Election to be held September 11th, 2012.